The specific journey to develop the beds began back in 2014 when the mayor began his Everett Streets task force. And during that task force, the one voice nobody was really talking to were the people on the streets and people experiencing homelessness. And so we went out and we started talking to folks about what keeps you from coming into the shelter, what keeps you on the streets. And at that time, we learned a lot about the difficulties of congregate shelters, from feeling safe, feeling like my property's taken care of. So as we began to look at that question, we just started asking, could we do beds differently?
One of the issues with most all of these situations is the simple reality of it is a lot of people cannot get up to the second bunk for any one of a number of reasons. And so what these bed systems are designed to do is just to make sure you maximize the utilization of the beds you have, because there's certainly a lot of places out there with bunk beds that are not being used just simply because the clientele cannot get comfortably to the second bed.
Well, we got our new bed parts in. They just arrived, so we're unloading, got it off the truck, and we got a crew of volunteers getting us upstairs. We got 9 pallets, I think, off the truck, and we got them in from Joliet, Illinois this morning. It was when a long haul across the country.
Yesterday, all the materials arrived at the Gospel Mission and they got brought upstairs to where they're going to be used and separated into all their different part numbers so that we could easily find them. And then yesterday we got to work starting to assemble one of the 8 bed pods. And then this morning we got another crew going, building the pod that's behind me. So it's another 8 bed pod that's going together.
When I first came into the Everett Gospel Mission, I knew very little about homelessness. I knew very little about shelters. And after probably about 10 years, I went to a training. And in that training, Dr. Donna Beagle said, most people who are delivering services to people experiencing poverty don't have a clue what it's about. And as she taught, and my whole staff was there, we went, I think there's some things we need to learn. And that began the quest in me and in my team to say, we're going to go find out what we don't know and how some of our practices may actually be doing harm to the people that we're very much trying to help. And so as we traveled the country, looking at different shelters, looking at different models, we saw some things that were very disturbing. We saw some things that replicated what we were doing, and we went, oh, that probably isn't that good. One of the things we saw was we do bunk beds. We had done bunk beds in our facility. We saw a triple bunk bed. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit over 55. And if I had to climb up to the 3rd bunk, I would not be staying in that shelter because I might be able to get up, but coming down would be terrifying.
The bed systems are designed to daisy chain on each other. So there's kind of an A unit, and the A unit always has the stairwell. That's the main part of the step-up bed system is helping people get up the steps to the second level of beds. So then there's a daisy chain unit, if you will, or called a B unit, that can add on as far as you want.
Part of the really interesting story is just how all the different individuals that came along with the expertise that we needed, how they came into the story, even to the point of we actually had on our team somebody who wrote instructions for NASA on assembly instructions and all those elements. And so she helped us develop the instructions on how to assemble the beds.
I'm an engineer by training, and my previous job that I was working at was a mission specialist and really detailed operations. And so when they started this project, they asked me to come on and be a part of the planning committee. And my current role that I've been doing is writing the instruction manual.
I wasn't sure how long it would take to actually assemble these. I was looking at the assembly drawings and the shop drawings because I would review and make comments for minor tweaks and changes. Having everything pre-drilled, having really good instructions diagram for people to do the assembly, it's impressive to see. It's a huge group effort to see that. But even so, I'm amazed at seeing all the different pieces that are still coming together so very, very well with volunteers. I mean, that's the idea, is to get these to be assembled by volunteers, because most shelters that might want to buy this bed system, that's probably who they're going to have put them together.
A lot of volunteers working really, really hard, and they're the ones that make this whole thing go. I think, we as a society forget sometimes how much we have and get caught up in, the petty issues in life, but then you stop and just say, hey, I have been given so much. How do I share that in my community? So thank you to the volunteers that are here who are doing that.
This is a dream come true, because it's been a long time in the making and a long time of thinking what really helps someone in an emergency shelter. And this bed represents us hearing what they need and really adapting what we were doing.
I don't think the Ever Gospel Mission could be any more excited about how this turned out. And I think it really accomplished one of our main goals, which was creating an attractive environment for people in our community of need to know that there is a nice, clean place for them to find shelter, find sleep, get the rest they may have been missing for years.
It's always fun to tell individuals coming into the shelter for the first time, this is here because this community loves you and you're worth it to us. And so it's part of the story of the bed is being able to, I think, reiterate that message that we knew we could do better. And so being able to do better with a different kind of service, a different kind of bed that says you're worth it to us to do better than we did yesterday.
As soon as I came into the shelter, I was introduced to these beds and this space that it allows you to have. And they do have, a privacy. I love the fact that we have these little cubby holes where you can charge your phone with the USB ports and the electric. And I mean, it's an amazing experience.
I love these beds. They're, it's kind of like my own little space, I
like the fact that we can plug our phones in to charge it, and lights, nice touch, do a little reading before we go to sleep. And I can actually be comfortable in bed, it's long enough for my legs to be, to comfortably lay down and sleep.
When we started looking at our beds, we knew we could do better. And when we heard from those on the streets and even those in our building, what they were wrestling with, what wasn't working for them, we thought we need to do better. If we say we love you as we love ourselves, we have to do this better. And so I think that's that need to love our neighbors as we love ourselves drove it's the backbone of what we did here.
It goes without saying for those of us who call ourselves Christians that the Bible has a strong message about how we should engage with people experiencing poverty. But most of us haven't been taught about that in our churches. I bet I've had maybe 10 sermons on what that means. And so our mandate is to really bring what the Bible says about engaging with people experiencing poverty to the masses. And that is such a powerful message of, is there poor among you? Then you have an obligation to engage with them so that their lives are not traumatized any more than they already are. That's not a suggestion, that is a command. And so most people don't know that. So the Everett Gospel Mission is in this community, engaging with this community to alleviate, the very difficult journey of poverty. We want to be part of that. We want people in the community to feel that when they support the Everett Gospel Mission, that's what they're doing, and it's because we're compelled by the gospel to be in action.